Jambareeqi here with a Let's Play of the Flash game Bad Ice Cream. Let's play! Like many other Flash games, this is free to play online. You don't have to download a trial version or buy a copy. Okay, so there is a two-player option for this game, but obviously I'm on my own. 3 flavors to choose from. I'm gonna go for chocolate, but my favorite is cookie dough. Now, the setup for this game is kind of a bit like Pac-Man or Bomberman, except unlike Pac-Man, you can kind of manipulate your maze, and unlike Bomberman, you can't really attack anything. You've only got defense to work with. You can obviously destroy these ice blocks in your way, but you also have the power to make your own ice blocks. Now you might be thinking, oh, Jambareeqi, I don't need to make any ice blocks, I'm just going to run around and collect all this fruit. No, trust me, it's a really good tactic to rely on the ice breathing method thing. You've got to keep defending yourself, especially when you come across enemies that are shit scary and have the consistent programming of darting towards you no matter what. Luckily at the beginning, a lot of the enemies are just going to be looped in the same pattern, so you can avoid them very easily. Now, I have to be honest with you here. A lot of this Let's Play has been cut down. Now, this is because of 2 reasons. The first reason is that I wanted to trim down the length of all my gameplay footage. And the second reason is because I wanted to show you how I'm getting past all these levels. So, my main point is, don't watch this thinking that I'm being able to power play through all these levels, because I'm not. I obviously do make mistakes. So I don't want to come off as obnoxiously trying to trick anyone that I'm the master of this game, because I'm not. I'm far from it. I only started playing this game recently. So like I was saying before, it's all about relying on the pattern of your enemies and their intentions, as well as knowing where the fruit is. Because in some levels, you might see early on in this Let's Play, the fruit will move as well, and it might jump about. I also have to confess that this Let's Play won't cover the entire game, because I can only play so far. So I can't promise that this will be a Let's Play series. I'll try at some point to try and get a bit more further in the game at some point, though. I'll only do another edition of this game if I can get further than that level that I'm stuck on. Okay, so early on I remarked how this game is very similar to Pac-Man and Bomberman, which are both very retro games, obviously. And I think it's important for gamers and the game industry to kind of respect and appreciate the template of video games, which is the retro video games, the games that started it all. Of course, it's arguable to consider whether these retro or old games are good or not. It's very important to recognize their input in the game history. It's a bit like how a filmmaker should respect the silent era or theatre, because these things are the template for their craft. Now, of course, a lot of modern games do pay homage to retro video games or try to reboot them in a sense. Now, to avoid going off into a tangent of incoherence, I think it's important that I talk about the actual game. Now, I've come to some kind of bizarre conclusion about the game's concept. Hear me out when I say this, okay? Think about this. The game is called Bad Ice Cream, and it lacks any prologue or narrative. Therefore, I've come to the conclusion that you're playing the bad guy. Think about this. Therefore, your opponents, these sprites that are attacking you, are the good guys. They have good intentions, man. So maybe this fruit belongs to some starving orphans, and you're being a dick by trying to eat it all up and destroy their shields. I mean, look how hard this guy is working. And there's this ice cream that looks like a pile of shit trying to break through his defense. I do have to say, though, these sprites that are programmed to essentially directly dart towards you with the consistent intention to destroy you no matter what, break through all their own barriers just to get to you. I think it's the way they move as well. They've got this very strange walk cycle going on, and it's quite terrifying if I'm honest. I know it's a very colourful game, but there's actually elements of horror to me within this. I don't think something needs to be gothic and dark and macabre to come off as scary. So let's talk about how I'm actually playing the game as well. Now, I do rely heavily on breathing the ice behind me to defend myself. It's really important to do so. Don't think that it's going to waste time. It won't waste time. It holds back your enemy, especially if that enemy is driven to chase after you. You need to defend yourself because it slows them down. And as you can see here, I'm working against the pattern of my enemy. This creature, it has some kind of flower on his head, and when he waddles, he's not going to be interested. He's not going to go after you. But when his flower on his head, as you can see, like, sends off a signal, he's going to go insane and hunt for you. So you have to run at these points and try not to be distracted by getting the fruit. Now, each level you are timed. I have never come across a moment where my time has run out, so I'm not actually that worried about the timer, if I'm honest. So I think it's possible to complete a level under the time you're given, which isn't actually that long. Now, it's very important to keep an eye on the bottom of the game screen, where it's got a guide to what fruit you have to find. And sometimes it's only one kind of fruit. Other times like this, there are a series of different kinds of fruit you're going to have to look out for. And a new kind of fruit comes along once you've found all of one type, okay? Don't get too confident once you've found all of one type, because then you'll have to keep an eye on that guide and see if there's another lot coming. So don't get too confident, because you may be missing some fruit, especially when the game screen isn't showing another half of it. Like at this point, this is a very good example of two things. First of all, the fruit is moving, so you really have to work with the direction of the fruit and the way that they're moving to get hold of them. And the game screen doesn't cover the whole of the setting. Therefore, it's important to explore the entire setting, rather than thinking, oh, I've got all the fruit now, it's fine. You don't want to be too confident with this game, okay? Don't get used to the way that your enemies are moving, because they will change each level. Each enemy has their own gimmick. And don't think that it's going to be easier if there's only one enemy, because that enemy has its own tactic, its own technique to kill you. You have to work out what that is and use it to your advantage. This game can get really scary. Now, this is the benefit of it. It's an adrenaline rush. So it's important to not get stressed. Play levels again and again until you are fully aware of how your character works. Now, I can sometimes get into the habit of thinking that my character can jump, which it can't. So sometimes I feel as if that I can jump over things, but that's my own habit. Hopefully, if you do play this game, you won't get into that habit. But remember, you can't jump and you can't attack, so you have to make good use of what you can do. Now, as you can see, there are some exclamation marks over some of the ice blocks. This is indicating that these ice blocks contain fruit. Sometimes this is intentional, and sometimes you've caused this yourself by setting off a series of ice blocks in the way of the fruit. But don't worry, the fruit is still there. All you have to do is smash the ice block. This is a really fun game though, trust me. Obviously, it can get very difficult, and that's the fun of it, but I had so much fun playing this game. I'm going to keep playing it no matter what. It is very addictive. I think what makes it so good is the fact that your enemies consistently change, and your setting consistently changes too, and sometimes they add in some new conflicts. So it never gets repetitive, and every new level ahead is really exciting because you don't know what you're going to be given next. Now, I would like to kind of fast forward a bit now, if I may. I'm sorry to those that would want to watch me carry on commentating on how well I did after these levels, but I really need to speed up and get to a point in the game. This point. As much as I kept going on about it's good to make good use of what you're given, I don't in this level. You can kind of direct ice in different places using these arrow tiles. I don't. I didn't really make good use of it. I still don't. I can't explain why. I think it's because at first I didn't really understand what the tiles were for. I might actually start using it in the future, but I managed to get through this level without using the tiles. So I think my point should be, you don't have to rely on everything around you. You can just wing it if you want. Now you're probably wondering, Jambareeqi, how did you get past this level while not using these tiles? They're really good. I kind of just used the same method as any other level, really. I just focused on knowing where the fruit was and avoided where the enemies were. Simple as. It's the same method that I use for any other level, really, and it never came to a point where I was considering giving up on the level or trying to think, well, what do these tiles do and can they help me? The tiles never really came into the gameplay. However, don't take my word for it, okay, because I'm sure that these tiles have a good purpose and you may have difficulty not using them. Now, you're about to see the level that I'm stuck at. When you see it, you'll understand why I'm stuck at it. It's really scary. There. Look at the amount of sprites there are, the different ice blocks, the enemies, the fruits, so many. If anyone has a suggestion for how I can get past this level easier, please comment below. I would really appreciate it.